Welcome back to Mondo Musings. I'm your presenter, Nicardo McLean. Now, Jamaica's golden tradition in the men's sprints on the global stage dates all the way back to 1948 when the stately Dr. Arthur Wint claimed the nation's first Olympic gold in the men's 400 meters in London, breasting the tape just ahead of all round sprint legend Herb McKinley. Now, 4 years later at the Helsinki Olympics, McKinley was again second across the line, this time being pipped to the gold by another countryman, George Roden, who subsequently anchored an all-star Jamaican quartet featuring McKinley, Wint, and Les Lang to a historic gold in the men's 1600-meter relay. Now, in 1983, Bertland Cameron, who starred for the University of Texas at El Paso on the U.S. collegiate circuit, ushered in the world champs era by crowning himself the first men's world champion in the one-lap event. Since then, though, no Jamaican man or quartet has managed to claim gold at either the world champs or the Olympics. In fact, in recent times, we've often struggled to get three men under the specified qualifying standard for these major events. Last year, for example, only Chris Taylor and Javon Powell managed to achieve the 44.90 qualifying standard, with Nathan Allen earning an invitation from World Athletics to help it fill its 48-man quota for the event. But to the credit of these athletes, they have really managed to grab their opportunities when they've hit the big stage. No medals, but they've performed to a very creditable standard. Allen and Demishke were 5th and 6th, respectively, in 2017 in London, while Gay and former junior sensation Akeem Bloomfield finished in 4th and 8th in Doha in 2019, while Tokyo Olympics finalist Chris Taylor was a creditable 7th last year in Eugene. Now, the really encouraging thing about this season so far for me is that it seems as if, for the first time in many, many years, we will have a surplus of quarter milers achieving the Q standard for the World Championships, which has been relaxed to 45 flat for this edition. Now, incidentally, Jamaica is second only to the mighty United States when it comes to the number of athletes who've gone 45 dead or faster in this event, with, by my count, about 28 men entering the type of territory that conventional wisdom in this event suggests demarcates the good from the genuinely world class. Now, Jamaica number one, Chris Taylor, who ran an encouraging personal best 44.63 seconds to claim the NACAC title in the Bahamas in August of last year, and 2023 season leader Sean Bailey, who bolted from the blocks with a 44.70 PB at the Masked Rider Open back on March 25th, have already achieved the 45-second standard, while national record holder Rasheen McDonald, on the back of some very impressive 200s earlier this season and a titanic 45-4 tussle with the fast-rising Zandrian Barnes at Velocity Fest 13 back in April, turned in a 44.97 performance at the recent East Coast Relays in Florida. Now, unfortunately, because that event was not listed on World Athletics' global calendar, it's highly likely that this time won't count for World Champs qualification purposes, though surely it's only a matter of time before McDonald is able to go sub 45 in a competition that the sport's governing body recognizes. And just another side note, that 44.9 was actually his fastest time since, get this, 2015. So definitely a resurgent season for the 30-year-old MVP athlete and national record holder. And speaking of Zandrian Barnes, the GC Foster College athlete who doesn't turn 22 until August of this year, he was quietly one of the most impressive Jamaican athletes, for my money anyway, at the celebrated Penn Relays, ripping off a reported 44-5 split comfortably, the fastest of all those listed for the final of the College Men's 4x4 Championship of America event in what were, by Jamaican standards anyway, pretty inhospitable conditions in Philly. Cold and rainy, as is typically the case at that time of the year for that locale. So, extremely encouraging performance from him. And then there are two races from earlier in the season that I think perfectly encapsulate the hope that is now flourishing afresh in my heart. The first was the men's D final at the John Woolmer Speedfest on March 19th, where 2017 World Youth 400-meter champion Antonio Watson, long viewed as one of the future stars of Jamaican athletics, dating all the way back to his time at Petersfield High, where he was a force to be reckoned with at champs, won a barn burner from Assini Wilson, who, with his recent 49-1 PB in the four hurdles to go along with his outstanding performances in the flat 400, is probably my early favorite for Breakout Athlete of the Year, and former Jamaica College standout DeAndre Watkin, one of the finest all round sprint talents that we have locally, dynamic all the way from 100 to 400. And just behind this trio was the senior citizen, so to speak, of the bunch. At just 22 years old, the ever reliable Anthony Cox. Now, pretty much unheard of for Jamaican quartermilers, not to mention so many running so fast, so early, and better yet, not one of them has yet seen their 23rd birthday. Now, the other race whose results I think bode very well for Jamaica's present and future in the event was the big Class 1 boys 400-meter showdown at Boys and Girls Championships, which was eventually won by 19-year-old Delano Kennedy. A massive 45-27 PB was the reward for the Edwin Allen High Schooler on that occasion, as he seized control during the third 100 of that race, which was set up by the fast-starting Jasana Dennis, one of the most improved athletes on the local high school circuit this term. 45.87 lifetime best was his reward for his pace setting in that race. And the fast finishing Malik Smith Band, another outstanding combo sprinting prospect out of the Neil Harrison stable at JC, who came home in a 45.7 PB. Now, if we look down the performance list for the Jamaican 400-meter men this year, we'll see names like Akeem Bloomfield, second fastest quarter miler in Jamaican history, and he opened up with his fastest time since 2020 in his specialty. So looking set for a very strong rebound after a few very tumultuous seasons, both personally and professionally. So we wish him all the best on that quest. Now, Shamar Chambers, Excalibur athlete, transferee from Florida Memorial University to powerhouse North Carolina A&T, broke 46 seconds for the first time in his career at the Florida Relays on April 1st. So potentially big things happening there for him as well. Rashawn Clark is also featured here, 400 hurdle specialist, but with speed to burn. Maybe a 4x4 option, assuming, of course, that he makes a team to Budapest. Really option there. But he could also be a factor in the flat 4 in the future, and maybe the very near future. That veteran Demish Gay, two-time world champs finalist. Slightly off the pace at the moment, outside 46 seconds, but as an experienced athlete, coached by an experienced coach in Maurice Wilson, he probably is right around where he needs to be in terms of his program to peak for nationals and then maybe a mini peak for nationals and then a full blown peak, assuming he makes the team for the world championships as well. Javon Powell, 44.8 last year, a little bit slow out of the blocks this term as well, which suggests that he's either been injured, we hope not, or that he's being prepped for a later peak than last season. So he also could be in fine fettle by the time the national championships rolls around. So by my count, that's at least 14 men who could threaten that qualifying standard. Realistically, one would expect maybe about 7, 8, 9, 10, hopefully, to make that breakthrough. All right, so that's it for this installment of Mondo Musings. So, what are your thoughts on Jamaica's 400-meter men? Is a revival in this event on the cards in the near future, much like appears to be the case among the nation's 100-meter men? Or is it another falls dawn? Let me know what you think down below. Now, up next, I plan to release the first edition of the 2023 Jamaican Women's 100-meter form chart. A bit of a specialty here on Mondo Musings. I've been compiling and adjusting results for the past 2 months or so, from about the start of March when the season got underway, and things are starting to take a very interesting shape. So you can look out for that when that one drops. Thanks as always for checking out the content. Until next time, peeps, Godspeed.